The man did not believe that this could happen. He really wanted Aina to calm down. The girl did not understand how this was even possible. The man asked if she was disappointed. She did not understand and therefore asked him from what moment he was a man. But the more important question was why he was a man. The gentleman asked my lady if she thought that Raniel should have survived and not he. The lady said that's not what she meant. She didn't understand at what point everything went wrong. Whatever she is thinking about now, it is still not enough to fully express her emotions. The honorable writer should listen that in this novel the main character is definitely G. One day, opening her eyes, the main character discovered that she was in an unfamiliar body and a generally unfamiliar world. Large, luxurious room and Western-style furniture, and the reflection in the mirror has nothing in common with her original face. Being a fan of romantic fantasy, after a while she realized what was what. This is the so-called cliché, where it moves to the pages of a popular novel. One thing doesn't know is whether it's possible to end up in a TV character from a book, the name of which the girl has no idea about for 8 years now. A man told Mrs. Aina that today he added more squid to the soup. Aina was not very happy because there was this squid soup again. It is already across her throat and is no longer getting anywhere. She became Lady Ainastis Veram of the ducal house. Nadine told Aina that he had already told her not to make such a face at the dinner table, as if she was being forced. This was the firstborn of the Veram house, Nadine Veram. Aina said that's it, because the squid is constantly being poured with some strange sauce. Nadine said that it was absurd that she, being the lady of the Veram house, could not eat squid. Noble of the house, with a special passion for squid. The main character did not remember reading such a novel. The owner of the body in which the main character ended up was a minor character with green hair. The residence where she lives is located in a closed fief, which maintains almost no connections with other regions. Good-natured members of her family have the same greenish hair as hers. The main character suggested that perhaps Lady Aina was the most insignificant character. Over the past 8 years, she has not seen the shadow of any character in the story, not to mention the main character himself. 8 years is a long line, but all patience comes to an end. Anna didn't understand whether people were capable of just living like this. Nadine did not understand where his sister went in the middle of lunch. The main character decided that from today, she is going on strike to the book in which she finds herself. Going out into the garden, Aina finally felt like a living person. She didn't know where to start, finding yourself in a romantic fantasy novel. The main character must make her debut in high society, attend a hunting tournament and a ball. But all these are events where there is a high probability of a collision with the main character. As expected, until Aina finds out which novel she is in, she can only vegetate inside the castle. But she didn't want to continue to stay in this crazy residence of the Duke, where such terrible and incomprehensible food often ended up on her plate. The main character begged for someone to rescue her from this hell by searching for the title of this novel. Suddenly, a man appeared from behind and apologized. Turning back, the girl saw a stately man who asked if she was Lady Ainastis Veram. Now, looking back, the main character recalls that at the moment of their first meeting with him, she was overcome by a strange feeling that cannot be expressed in any words. It was as if everything in the world had stopped, and only the two of them were left. The lady said that it was she and asked what business he had with her. The man was a rare, handsome man. He bowed before the lady and said that he was here on the orders of His Majesty Ravius I, the eternal son of the Espio Empire. Even this man's voice was beautiful. In addition, the eyes are simply wonderful, and the main character would like to spend eternity in their blue. The man asked if she was listening to him. A woman yelled at a man because he said a woman couldn't inherit the title, and she realized that he was saying that despite the fact that she was here, the Duchy of Litheron would be inherited by someone in the sideline. The man said that he was sorry, but these are the laws of the Empire after the young master passes away. Only Lady Raniel will remain a child born in the direct line of the family. The woman asked if I would have had problems if her brother had survived instead of her. The woman grabbed the scissors, and the man did not understand what she was doing. She ordered him not to call her by that name anymore because Raniel died during the rebel attack in place of her parents, and from now on, she will live under the name Diego. Aina didn't understand why such a scene suddenly popped up in her head. Moreover, the names were familiar. The man asked the heroine if she really was a woman from the very beginning. She said that she fooled everyone until the very end with the help of this banal artifact. Another man said that he would not allow him to behave so rudely towards her because he too was responsible for this deception. He said that now it doesn't matter whether she is a man or a woman. Aina realized that she definitely remembered this and had definitely read this novel. Suddenly, Nadine ran up. He called his sister very loudly. The man asked if he was Nadine, and he asked who he was and why he arrived without any warning. Sir said that he was here by order of His Majesty. Aina said that this is completely unsuitable. After being in the book for 8 years, the main character finally met the main character. The man asked what exactly the lady thought was absurd. There is one minor problem here, which is that it did not intersect with the main character, and with the main character who, with the help of a magical artifact, was reincarnated as a man. Aina fell and thought that she would really start boycotting the novel. Aina woke up, and her parents asked her in horror how she was feeling. She asked them if the two of them were going around their property. They did this because the time of feud had come. But the girl did not understand why the persecutors returned. Nadine said that she did not come to her senses for 2 days. That's why their parents rushed back like a bullet, and if this time her illness turns out to be false, then she will forever remove her from the role of her younger sister. The main character couldn't believe that she could sleep for 2 days and not feel any discomfort. But what's more important is that she also doesn't really have a desire to be his younger sister. Mom told Nadine that she did not understand how he could say such terrible words to his little sister, who was bedridden, because she was constantly worried about her, so he should be more honest in his expressions. But Nadine spoke, which she wasn't particularly worried about. The main character saw a man standing behind her brother and could not understand who it was. Here it is, the aura of an unrivaled protagonist. Aina decided that what happened earlier was a dream. Looking at the main character's face, she immediately returned to reality. Now she was 100% sure that Raniel was in front of her. However, now she is Diego. Now Aina can only admit that she found herself in a novel with gender intrigue, whose popularity among readers died down a long time ago. Fashion comes and goes. Such is the cycle of nature. This is a story about how the main character, after the death of her twin brother, dresses up as a man. To be honest, the main character thought this was somewhat absurd. But having seen everything with her own eyes, she can safely say that in this image she looks quite convincing. Naden, seeing the man who came from the Emperor, said that this was actually his sister's bedroom and did not understand how he even dared to enter here. Aina's father asked Sir Leatherwone to come out for a while because his daughter needed to be examined by the family doctor. Sir said that the lady immediately fainted when she saw him. The father pulled the man out of the room, and he asked if his father had told him that he should be near her, at least out of a simple sense of politeness. My father simply said that he talks a lot. It's just that after 8 years she finally got to see the main character, so she wanted to admire it longer. And the events described in the novel have not yet occurred. The narrative in the original work begins from the moment Raniel reached the capital, and she didn't understand why the main character paid a visit to her. Now, having reached adulthood, Raniel can officially receive the ducal title. The man also heard that he successfully suppressed the rebel army, and at the same time he asked if everything was fine with Zira, His Majesty. The man said everything was fine. The man noticed that Enna had also reached adulthood, so he planned to send her to the debutante ball. But he could not even imagine that he, who had the ducal title, would be sent here as her escort. Diego said that he arrived here as an Imperial knight, who was responsible for the safety of Lady Aina, and he was ordered not only to accompany her during the trip, but also to act as a bodyguard until her debut. Father read the invitation to the debutante banquet at the Imperial Palace. He tried so hard to protect Aina from traveling outside the duchy, but this is inevitable. Although the little girl still doesn't know anything about her abilities, Aina's eyes contain a special power of foresight. 8 years ago, through the eyes of Aina, he saw a future in which the Imperial Palace was engulfed in flames. He shouldn't send her to the capital at such a dangerous time. In addition, it is the same Duke Litheron who is appointed as Aina's escort, an Imperial knight, and he is precisely the one who has always been at the center of the future events that she foresaw. The father would like to accompany his daughter all the way to the capital. He, seeing the future, found himself forever locked inside the feud. Nadine, still free from the Veram direct line rules. And the man is just asking just in case, but the fact that the Emperor sent Diego means that there is no way she can refuse this trip. Diego said that this was a personal order from His Majesty. The father said that he was obeying the order of the Emperor and would notify Aina about this. Everything will be all right because Aina is the light of the family, and the father must trust her. After all, until now this child has never made a wrong choice. The father said that their deadlines were running out, and therefore they must immediately resume the suddenly interrupted tour of the feud. He apologized for not being able to accompany his daughter to her debut. Aina said that everything was fine because she was no longer a child, and she would just leave on her own, and there was no need for a farewell. The father confirmed this and said that Sir Litharoon would accompany Aina to the Imperial Palace, but she should not cause him unnecessary trouble. Nadine was told that this would not work and he too should go to the capital with Aina. But the guy refused this, because in this case there will be no one to look after the ducal castle. The father said that he would be gone for about a week, and in such a short period of time, the castle would not collapse without its owner. Aina thought he was a fool because he thinks that he is the only one who doesn't like such a prospect, because she is not particularly eager to see his face. But Aina is not going to get angry at all, because she is more merciful than even the god himself, because she is incomparable. Who knows what kind of romance she is in? The girl turned to Sir Diego Litharoon and asked if she should call him my lord. The man said that now, by order, he has been appointed as her personal bodyguard, so she can address him as Sir. Aina told the Sir that she would show him the garden of the ducal castle first, because he would be staying here for a while. A similar day has come in Aina's life. Dark, chocolate-colored hair that shimmers beautifully in the sun, and radiant sea-green eyes. An elegant appearance that makes both women and men turn heads, but the most important thing is that little green earring on my earlobe. Aina knows very well what secret she is keeping. In front of the audience is a magical device with the help of which little sister Raniel was reincarnated as Diego. This is a valuable artifact of the Litharoon family. His strength is amazing, although a similar thought had already occurred to her when they first met. But now she was once again convinced that nothing was noticeable when disguised. Even though the physique and face were changed with the help of an artifact, Aina did not believe that she was originally so tall. Diego said that she was only allowed to call him by his first name while he was acting as her escort. The voice was absolutely male. The voice was moderately deep and low. Before and after using the artifact, it should look completely different, which makes Aina was wondering if the main character had already fallen in love with the female form of Raniel. However, when confronted with her when she pretends to be a man, he begins to. Diego asked Lady Aina if she was listening to him, and if she was still feeling unwell, he would escort her to the mansion and ask the servants to make sure she rested. But Aina said that it was unnecessary, because she was completely fine, and the fact that she called him by name without asking his permission was also extremely unpleasant for Diego. Sir said that he reiterated that she was allowed to address him by name only while he was performing the duties of her escort. The girl remembered that he was talking about the name, and said that she would also think that he would just call her Aina, because everyone should live together. Diego didn't even know where it had been seen that an unmarried man and woman call each other by name. He didn't understand whether she knew the meaning of her words. Therefore, Sir Diego said that it was not worth it, and that it was more convenient for him to call her Lady Aina. The girl said Sir could not understand whether she was tactless, or whether her manners were so lame, or perhaps the lady is plotting something against him. The girl noticed that she also had a greenhouse, which even the workers did not go in, because it was private, and asked if he wanted. Diego asked if she was inviting him to go with her to a closed flower garden where no one goes. Aina asked again. By expressing himself in this way, Aina assumed that she was trying to build a wall between them because she was worried about her falling in love with her. She decided that this was exactly the case, because serious problems would arise if some annoying fan appeared on the horizon during her stay. The mistress said that she could guess what he was worried about and asked him to be calmer, because he was not at all her type. Aina apologized for misleading her, but she only likes men. Sir leaned in front of the lady and asked if she was. The main character did not understand why she was so calm, even if she doesn't match Lady Aina's preference. Raniel is still a man, and therefore she does not understand why Aina does not react to his actions. Nadine ran up and asked what they were doing there. About 30 minutes ago, Nadine asked if anyone had seen Aina, because the dance teacher and she disappeared somewhere. The man said that if he was looking for the lady, she would be in the garden, and the young lady. Nadine did not understand why a child with such poor health was wandering around somewhere, no matter how much he thinks, and the fact that every time she glanced at that idiot who came from the capital, she chuckled quietly. This also haunted Nadina. He really hoped that Aina fell in love with Sir Leatherone at first sight. The picture in Nadine's head was completely different from reality. Nadine was shocked and began to run to her sister and call her loudly, asking what they were doing there. Aina asked if he could stop yelling at the top of his lungs and asked him to show at least a little tact in front of Sir. Sir said that Lady Aina was simply showing him the garden, but Aina understood that such a remark would only increase suspicion. Aina said that in any case, this is not at all what he thought, so he should calm down. From the outside, it really looked if a recluse like Aina, who has spent her entire life in a castle and has not a single friend, suddenly who arrived from the capital, anyone will think that she fell in love with him at first sight. In order not to disrupt the course of the plot, the truth that the knight is a woman, the main character found herself in a classic novel called The Song of the Sword and the Flower, where the main character. Therefore, in order to protect her family, she reincarnated as a man and began to play the role of her deceased brother Diego. As Knight and Duke Diego Literone, she arrives in the capital by order of the Emperor. After this, a hodgepodge of meetings with minor male characters clashes with the villainess begins, and in the second half of the novel, the fact that she is a woman is revealed to everyone and becomes the first female Duke of the Empire. It was the perfect happy ending for this novel. And Aina's role in this novel is an absolutely minor character. Until today, she was worried that she was in some kind of tragic romance. Or she took possession of the villainess's body, so she couldn't even dream of a romantic relationship, and she was like a captive. Since she was drawn to romantic fantasy, she should definitely have an affair. He told Sir Leatherone that his sister Aina was not at all interested in men, and said this because the guest did not know about it. Aina asked her brother what kind of nonsense he was talking about and why he even got it. She is, in fact. Nadine said that she had told him before that she was not going to get married and would spend her whole life in the mansion. Aina said that it was in the past. She told him to take better care of himself, because if she gets such an opportunity, then she might get married. Nadine asked why she addressed him. Diego cleared his throat and they turned together. He asked for forgiveness and asked not to pay attention to. Aina assumed that she laughed and that this was a good sign, or that she simply grinned. And when she laughs, she makes a completely different impression. A smile really makes people beautiful. It was a shame because Aina would have immediately taken it. Nadine did not understand what this strange atmosphere was about, because of which goosebumps ran down his body. Although Sir also pretended that he was not at all interested, he understood that things wouldn't work that way. And as his father told him, therefore, she should return to the castle, and he will finish showing the castle for her. Nadine didn't understand if this was possible. Aina said that she just said that, by the way, and he didn't have to answer in that tone. Aina said that if he continued to talk to her in this manner, then all the young ladies would hate him, so he should fix it before it was too late. Sir noticed that if Aina went in that direction, she would fall, but it was too late and the girl fell into the fountain. But at the last moment, Sir caught but they still fell into the fountain. Sir apologized very much for this. Aina laughed and said that Nadine asked if they had hurt themselves, and did not understand what kind of. Because this infant terrible is in very poor health because she can easily catch a cold. But Aina said that she was not particularly cold. Sir said everything was fine. Nadine thanked him for his understanding and said that he would just call the servants. He sat down on the fountain and wondered if other women were also as fragile as Lady Aina. Nadine asked his sister if she really felt well and asked if she could come down for dinner. Aina told him to quickly go to Sir Diego. No matter what Nadine says, it all comes down to the same thing. Nadine told the maid to keep a close eye on her because Aina might develop a fever after some time. Due to the fact that Aina was a sickly child in the story, everyone had a lot of worries. not featured in, who was confined to a hospital bed for 11 years. She was not even mentioned in the original work. Probably the real Aina was destined to die at the age of 11. But now the storyline of the novel has been distorted because it ended up on the page, and maybe that's why Duke Litheran arrived at their residence to escort Lady Aina to the Imperial capital. The main character, chances are high that the more variables there are, the more difficulties the intruder will face. Distortion of the original story. In addition, the same villain is in the capital. It was Dahlia Effenberg, a young lady from the Marquis family who fell in love. She begins to follow her everywhere, and having learned that Raniel is a woman, becomes a villain. Therefore, it would probably be better not to interfere. But what if Lady Dahlia is the one who, in order to change the fate of the unfortunate villainess that befell her, the main character had to meet her? The more Aina thinks about it, the more her head spins, and this infuriated her very much. The maid did not understand what had happened. Sarah was also a minor character, and Aina was interested in how people think who have no idea about such a process as moving to the pages of a novel. Aina turned to Sarah and told her to assume that she knows about all the events that will happen in the future, and that she has a strictly defined. And she asked what Sarah would do. The maid asked if she was talking about something like a theatrical performance. Aina said it was something like that. Sarah asked what her role would be. Aina said that, to be more precise, this is a minor role where however, she is well aware of who is a positive hero and who is a negative one. Sarah said that in this case, she would try. Aina said that she already had a role where she didn't have to do anything, and she didn't understand what all this was about. Sarah said she never knew what might happen, but there was no way she could get any harm from being friends with a good guy. Aina noticed that Sarah really is a genius. Intervention is an extreme. Plus, the events of the original story haven't started yet, so she doesn't need insurance in case that happens. If something goes wrong, and all because of the upcoming debutante ball. But if she had to make a choice, since this is the main character, a love flag will not be thrown out of the blue. Aina decided that she should still make friends with Sir Diego. Nadine once again apologized to Sir for the recent incident. The weather is still cool. Diego said everything was fine. Nadine noticed that Aina is not some kind of development. Staying in the castle for a long time, she did not let go of the books, so she became very capable. Although she sometimes, and Nadine also noticed that in childhood Aina often, Diego, and if Raniel had survived, everything would have been different, or he would have behaved exactly the same. A few years earlier, the Litheran residence. Diego was asked if he knew that the Espio Empire was a country founded by ancient. Their Litheran family is one of the 4 families that directly inherited their blood. The boy asked if the father said that yes, but in each family they have a different form, and the artifact is. And now, only the symbolic meaning remains to prove the validity of the straight line, but in fact, it is a magical tool that can only be. A special heir is a person from a direct branch of the family who is born with strong magical abilities. Such people are called. When Raniel was very young, she went to the clan's land, to the sanctuary. This was done to prevent the surge phenomenon that often concerned that Raniel's powers would be abused. Her parents hid the fact that she was an awakened one in order to protect their daughter. Diego asked where his father and mother had gone. The servant told the master that he had only heard that Mrs. Raniel was in critical condition. The boy realized that this meant that they were heading to the sanctuarium. And he said that he would have a snack in his room, and the gentleman told the man that today was Raniel's birthday, and he didn't understand how he could celebrate this holiday when his twin sister was so seriously ill. Diego was training with a sword and accidentally broke it, even though they are twins, born at the same time but Diego does not have this ability, and he did not understand why this was so. He was in a lot of pain, and his parents are more concerned about the awakened Raniel. He should have received both power. The relationship between Diego and Raniel was as if someone had predetermined their role. Diego cried because he was Raniel's extra replacement. However, he believed that if he continued to put in his best efforts, he would one day achieve universal recognition. And someday, then the parents will finally look at Diego at least once. As usual, upon hearing that Raniel and one summer day, when Diego turned 14, he received a message that then, having become a knight, he defeated the rebel armed forces, and upon reaching adulthood, he was officially awarded the ducal title. But one question still haunted him. Although he pondered his answer to no avail for 8 years, he could not tell anyone. Diego thought about what if it had been Raniel who had survived instead of him. Tonight's Nadine asked Sir Diego to definitely try the fried pork wrapped in squid. Today was a real squid feast. The servant said that Messrs. Aina wanted to tell him that she would come down soon. Diego did not understand how the servants could so easily call their mistress by name. Nadine told the man to be sure to put more squid in her soup. The servant gave the appropriate order to the kitchen, but the mistress, Nadine, said that it's all because Aina still doesn't know how to eat properly. The territory of Veram was recently incorporated. The forced atmosphere between master and servant is something unheard of. It seems that no one here cares much about hierarchical relationships and formalities. Aina, I apologize to my brother for being late. Sir thought about what is possible in the Veram residence, and there is nothing unusual, and everyone reacts this way only because Lady Aina is here. The girl Sir said it's not worth it. And she noticed that he should have waited for the lady. Nadine noticed that if she understood everything herself, she could go down earlier. Diego didn't understand why he was avoiding Aina's gaze. In any case, the lady is a person just like him. Aina noticed that Sir's plate was already empty. She couldn't understand whether he really thought it was delicious. He didn't know what to answer. Nadine told his sister that before she arrived, Sir Diego had already eaten a whole plate of pork wrapped in squid. But the brother said that even a visiting person eats local cooking so well, and if his sister eats squid, if Diego's memory serves me correctly, then there are rumors in the capital that the daughter of the ducal couple, Veram, is very ill, and therefore is in critical condition almost every season. And although Lady Aina really does not have any physical endurance and is extremely thin, calling her sick simply does not. Usually, young ladies make their debut in society much earlier, and he did not understand why Lady Veram remained in the duchy until she came. Diego thought that she behaved just like Raniel. He didn't even know why he didn't think that everything was so strange. A mysterious atmosphere that captivates those around you. Unusual words and actions that are difficult for ordinary people to understand. During childhood, there are frequent attacks due to a surge of magical power. These were the characteristic signs of an awakened one. Also, an artifact from the Veram family called the Eye of Truth. But nothing is known about the Veram family artifact, except Sir Diego suggested that these very eyes of Lady Aina were an artifact of the Veram family. Aina again said that she asked not to put so much squid in her food. Nadine did not understand. Diego has no idea to what extent the people of the Veram family are aware. Well, if the lady knew that she was awakened and hid this fact, then this should be reported to his. The emperor personally gave him another order, taking the opportunity to gather as much information as possible about Lady A. Sir thought that he was entrusted with a troublesome, useless role, but on the contrary, everything turned. Sarah told the lady that she noticed that Aina had been in a great mood since yesterday. This was quite natural, because now she would finally be able to say goodbye to her secluded. Sarah said that he told her that today he would begin his duties as the mistress's bodyguard. Aina said that this could not happen because she is constantly in the mansion and she does not need a bodyguard. Now the main character understood that this relentless following would be a reality, and he will be next to her in private lessons and chat, and even while walking in the garden. This bothered the main character too much. She, of course, but they say that peace of mind comes only when a person begins to work carelessly. Aina was Aina, who has extensive life experience, must enlighten the main character. She turned to Diego and asked him to listen to her. The lady asked if Diego had a tea party or meetings with other young ladies on his schedule, and even if there is some special reason why she does not leave the estate. Aina was very angry. Aina just wanted to sue the main character. The lady turned to Diego and asked if he now thinks of her as a person who does not. And then the main character thought that she had a chance to make friends with Sir Diego. Aina said that if this is really the case, then he is. Aina noticed that due to frequent illnesses in childhood, she lost a lot of time, so she was not able to make friends. Therefore, and so the lady decided to ask if he would like to become her friend in this situation. Sir Diego did not understand what kind of friend he was talking about. Diego, greatly embarrassed and covering his face, did not know whether there was any need to disguise himself. About a week ago, the Imperial Palace. The emperor asked Sir if he did not understand why Sir Diego could not simply personally inform the entire noble opposition about his trip to Veram. The duke did not know what to answer. The ruler noticed that they also want to win over Veram, who still remains politically neutral, and he does not. Diego said that if there was such a reason, then they should send another knight in his place. The emperor ordered him to shut up. Because Diego must know the easiest way to form a political union between families. It was an engagement and marriage. Emperor Ravius Zeraville Esp. The emperor reported that he had understood him correctly. And the debutante ball is just an excuse to summon Lady Veram to the capital. The emperor plans to bring her to the capital and make her the wife of the crown prince. The current emperor of the empire is Ravius Zeraville Espio. Initially, he was the youngest prince who had no relation to the succession to the throne, and he led a life far from politics. However, due to the incompetence of the first prince who inherited the throne, life for the inhabitants of the empire became worse. Therefore he, together with the heads of 4 noble families, rebelled and the first thing he did after becoming emperor was to force the nobles, who enjoyed all sorts of privileges, to pay heavy taxes. Wealthy aristocrats, who did not want to share their wealth with the common people, turned against them and tried to. A prince who does not inherit an artifact cannot become emperor. A monarch who steals the throne like a rebel will not be recognized as the legitimate ruler. Eventually, a rebel army was organized, centered on the southern nobles, who had the largest and richest territories, and the emperor ordered the commander of the 2nd Knightly Corps, directly subordinate to the imperial family, Duke Litherone, 3 years later. The clearing operation was successfully completed, and all rebels were killed. Now they need strength to support the noble faction, and if they receive the support of a family like Veram, they will be able to ensure a safe situation. The emperor repeated to Diego that he had already told him many times that he should get engaged to someone from the imperial faction, but he didn't. Diego said that marriage between nobles was no joke. The emperor said that he was not talking about marriage, but simply about getting in. At the same time, the duke will no longer have to endlessly deal with marriage proposals. Ravius noticed that Diego's face The emperor said that Diego had an impeccable appearance, but he had no idea how to use it correctly. But apparently this will only be a waste of effort. He decided to drop the topic and told him to personally go, and Diego should see if Aina is suitable for Arvid. After all, not everyone can take a place next to the heir to the throne. The identity of Lady Veram, who, due to illness, postponed her debut in secular society from year to year, and who Diego believed that if no catastrophe happened, then she would become the prince's wife without any. But Aina invited him to become her friend. The next day, the following happened at the Veram residence. Nadine asked if they asked him for a report form in order to write it personally. Sir Diego, and it will be better if he shows everything with an example in his office. And he noticed that since yesterday, Diego has looked as if he was awkward around Aina. So he wonders if she made some mistake. But Diego said that everything was fine, and initially he was not very. Nadine noticed that Aina is a rather unusual child, but Diego will soon get used to her style of communication. Basically, she is a very. Diego, on the other hand, is confused by her excessive friendliness. Aina felt free because the day's lesson ended early. Aina had the feeling that after yesterday's conversation, Sir Diego began to avoid meeting her. She simply suggested that we become friends. And I didn't understand why build such a high wall. Secondary characters are people too, and she can be hurt too. Although it was clear that making friends would not be easy, it seemed to her that she was about to burst into. While Sir Diego is away, she needs to work on self-healing. Aina felt much better. And since the servants do not come here, Aina's heart is very light. Although last time she was unable to show Sir Diego such. Suddenly Aina noticed someone and realized that he seemed to have found him just fine without her help. The man was sitting, what was expected from the main character. Probably, under the influence of the settings of the original work, she wandered back and forth and eventually. Diego had a flawless face. If Raniel were a man, with such beauty there is nothing else to do but be the center of. The main character did not believe that with the help of magic one could completely transform into a man. Aina was wondering if the main character's stubble was growing. It seems that she ignored this point after all, probably in a romantic. But Raniel really looks like a wonderful statue. Aina perfectly understood the Miss Villainess who fell in love with her. Even knowing that there is a Aina decided that before she became villain number 2, she needed to leave here immediately. She thought about giving him some rest. After all, when the main events of the original story begin, he will not even have the opportunity to take a breath. But before Aina turned to Diego and said that he should not forget that she asked him to be her first friend. The Duke suddenly woke up with a start. He was uncomfortable facing Lady Aina, so he pretended to be asleep, but he still didn't understand why she was acting so recklessly. Even if she knew that he was sleeping, even if she felt complete, Diego didn't understand how it was possible to get so close to a man that her breath tickled his cheeks. He believed that Lady Aina should behave more carefully, and if not he, but some other man had been here earlier. As he thought, he should be more responsible in fulfilling his duties to protect her. Diego thought that Sir Nadine was too picky, but now the reason for his eternal grumbling became clear to him. Nadine was the main grumbler of the novel. But Diego couldn't believe that this was how brothers usually showed concern for. He didn't understand why the lady was still next to the greenhouse. The man has a good physique, but his appearance is mediocre. It seemed to him that he was dressed in knightly uniform. Besides, talking to a noble lady in such an environment, it seems that, in the knightly environment of the ducal residence of Veram, discipline. Aina agreed and said that they needed to get into the carriage immediately. Diego came up from. The lady told Sir Diego that she was going to go into town for a while to walk around the shopping arcade. Diego said that until they reach the capital, only he is considered her bodyguard. Diego thought her. Aina asked if he was really going to fulfill the duties of guarding her because there was nothing dangerous inside the duchy. Diego stood up and said that he had received orders from the Emperor because he looked like the kind of person who hates people who take their. She asked Rowan to reassure Nadine that she would be safe and that he not worry because she would be back before dinner. Sir Diego asked if Lady Aina was always so friendly with the knight in charge of her safety. Aina said that they have been friends for a long time, and last week she even named his second child. Diego was shocked and asked if he was married. Mrs. Aina said yes. Sir Rowan, because of his good looks, was popular even before his marriage, but now however, getting married at that age was a little strange for Diego. The guy didn't understand why she continued to express dissatisfaction on her face. Aina asked Sir Diego if he was interested in Sir Rovina, and Sir Rowan prefers fiery hair color. Diego understood her. He realized that apparently she was inventing something for herself again. The lady said that she was sure that it would be better for Sir Diego to choose not Sir Rowan as his companion, but someone like the dark-haired Duke from the south. She really wanted him to hear. Diego believed that compared to the capital, the Duchy of Veram was a backward province. The man admitted that this was the first time he had seen such well-maintained streets. Therefore, I asked if they had. Aina confirmed this and noted that since squid is a delicacy of the duchy, fast delivery is important to maintain. By sharing the road, they simultaneously reduce the number of accidents. The construction of the tunnel leading. For Diego, this was surprising, and perhaps in some ways this place is more developed than the capital. Aina told Sir Diego. This surprised Diego, and he asked again. Aina said that she would be in a difficult situation if it became known that the lady had sneaked out into the. Sir thought that if she did not want to reveal her identity, then it would be easier for her to use a veil or change her appearance. According to the script, Aina is the hidden daughter of the head of the guild Dido, the richest man in the empire. She is in poor health, so she decided to get. And Sir Diego is a knight who is Ravi's best friend. And now for a friend who returned to Veram after complete. Ravi conducts his excursion by Market Square. Diego said that the lady said that since he did not like to play the role of a friend, then, in this case, Diego understood that one glance at the lady's hair, or rather its color, was enough to understand, and he did not believe that there would be those who could be deceived with the help of a performance. The woman. Diego understood what it meant that there were such people after all. The woman said she added squid syrup to the recipe, and the reaction from buyers was simply explosive. The woman beckoned them to sit down quickly, and usually she doesn't have a single free. But Aina said that they were a little busy. Diego said it was rude to refuse kindness. Aina was shocked. Recently she had some suspicions, but is it really true that the main character initially had a love for squid? Aina didn't understand why in this novel people couldn't live without adding squid to their food. The woman asked to try it. because she deliberately added more squid syrup. Aina was shocked because Diego, without hesitation, drank all this disgust. Diego said with a smile that it was very tasty. The main character decided that this novel was definitely cursed because a squid curse was sent. The Sir asked the woman if she was planning to open a point of sale in the capital because he thought. The woman said that over the distance that needs to be covered to the capital, the squid will lose all its freshness. Aina noted that she knows that this year there was a very good banana harvest in the south, but the woman says that the price for them has increased. The woman said that there was no benefit from the fact that there was a good harvest in the south. And no. Aina said it was strange because the excise tax on bananas was supposed to be reduced since last month. Aina was very angry because the suppliers are trying to pocket the money of ordinary people. Aina said that she understood her. The man turned to Ravi and asked if she would come see him because he also had something new. Aina turned to Sir Diego and said that she would return quickly, so he would stay here for now. And she told him to drink her juice while he waited. The woman told Diego that when Mrs. Ravi passes, everyone vying with each other invites her to come in. Diego apologized for his question, but he was wondering why. The woman asked if he thought that there was at least one person in the area who did not know members of the ducal family. Diego only now realized that everyone knew about it. And I didn't understand why then. However, if you tell Ravi about the problems that have arisen, she immediately finds a way out of any difficult situation. Diego considered her an immature child, but it seems that the inhabitants of the man suggested that perhaps she really was ideal for the role of the crown prince's wife. Suddenly, she asked if he had arrived to propose marriage to their Lady Veram. Diego said that it was nothing like that. The saleswoman was shocked and did not believe that she had been misled by the way Sir Diego looked at Lady Veram. Remembering the Emperor's words, he said that he was here because he was a knight who must. Aina examined the bird. She asked if it was hand-carved. It was really cute. The woman said that if Ravi wanted, the lady became thoughtful and didn't know what to do, because all the figurines are so cute that her eyes. Diego asked if Aina had already chosen enough toys. Sir noticed that they didn't even fit in her hands, so he wondered where she was going to put them. Sir noticed that her room was already filled to the brim with such trinkets. Aina didn't understand how this was so, because they are all tiny, so you can allocate a place for them. Aina suddenly stopped and asked Sir Diego if he was in her room. The man said yes and asked if. Diego admitted that at first he thought it was an altar and not a rack for figurines. Aina was shocked that he said there are no guests in the mansion, so Aina, without a second thought, placed all kinds of trinkets in her room. She said she would buy. Although the main character felt this even in front of the trading post, Sir Diego's attitude seems to have become suspiciously cold again. Aina had some. The girl was sure that before they drank the strawberry banana juice, everything was fine, but now something happened in her absence. Aina assumed that perhaps she had an extremely sensitive nature because she was the main character, but nothing can be done about it, and you will have to use a cheating technique. Aina turned to Sir Diego. She asked if they could check out one more place, but essentially, a person always opens his heart when he is around something he likes. Diego asked if the man said that this is exactly the case. If he takes hold of the handle at least once, he will immediately feel the difference. The man noticed that, as expected, Sir had a diamond in his eye. Aina sat aside, although she is happy to see Sir Diego happy. But she cannot insert a word into their conversation. The seller asked to wait a little, because he would show his family's heirlooms. Aina happily approached the knight and asked if he liked this place. Diego noted that and he apologized, because he thought that such conversations were a little boring for girls. The lady denied this and said that she also just wanted to buy some kind of weapon. If he didn't mind, then she would like to hear his recommendations. Aina is well aware that the main character talks a lot about weapons. Diego thought about it and said that it was a weapon that Aina could use. He thought that she, on the contrary, did not have any physical endurance, so he should look for some kind of light dagger for her. He thought that she, on the contrary, did not have any physical endurance, so he should look for some kind of light dagger for her. But the lady did not understand why the main character reacted so skeptically. Aina stood up and asked if it was okay. Diego apologized for his tactlessness. He asked Aina to relax her shoulders and back. Diego asked to hold her hand. The girl was completely shocked and did not want. Diego told the mistress to spread her legs a little, but not so wide. After this, she should extend her hand and fix her gaze on the target, and not on the tip of the sword. Although Diego helped her get into the right position, to his surprise, Aina has amazing reflexes. If you think about it like that, then they are standing very close to each other, and that's why Diego was embarrassed. Diego noticed that she had spent all her strength. Although he supported her, unlike trained knights, she had absolutely no physical training. Diego asked the lady to look for herself. He gently took the mistress's hand, and Aina was not very happy because she thought that she could handle something like a rapier. She wanted to ask something else. The girl decided that he most likely needed to urgently go to the restroom. Diego simply did not understand how the sir had the feeling that one light pressure was enough to break her body. The man told himself that he was Diego Literone, so he had to come to his senses. Lady Veram is a candidate. Aina told Sir Diego that he returned just in time, and she asked him to quickly go inside. Diego was completely attentive. The owner said that he was representing a sword that was not for sale, and that was considered a... Initially, the man did not even mention him to visitors, but for Sir Diego thought it was a Damascus sword. The seller knew that the gentleman would immediately recognize. The owner invited us to look at these bright swirls. Although this is just a prototype, Aina asked if he was really so amazing. The man turned to the lady and said that this was truly a very valuable sword. Diego noted that officially there are only 10 such swords in the empire. The raw materials and manufacturing methods have also been lost, making it almost impossible. The girl was very surprised at how valuable this item was, but she thought that if she went to that... Sir asked the owner if he could hold him in his hands for a while. In the carriage, the girl asked Sir for a Damascus sword of the highest rank. Aina said that, to be honest, he is not in the castle, but if he wants, she can show him. However, in return, she will have 2 conditions. Diego asked what she was talking about. The lady said that, firstly, he must keep it, and the second condition was that Sir Diego must promise that he will be friends with Lady Aina. Diego thought. Aina thought that he didn't want to. Therefore, she assured him that there was nothing complicated about it. And perhaps he will... The girl was so obsessed with this because the storyline could get distorted, so she needed the main character. This surprised Diego. Aina said that they most likely have a lot in common, because Aina noted that it is wonderful to have someone you can easily trust. How great it would be if the main character quickly admitted that she is a girl. The lady would like Sir Diego to give her a chance to become his closest ally. Aina noticed that they had already arrived and said that one way or another, the girl said in a whisper that he must keep what they were talking about a secret from his brother. Nadine called his sister. He said that he had already said that she must be accompanied by a bodyguard when traveling outside the castle. Aina did not understand what this senseless commotion was. However, he did not understand how it was possible for just the 2 of them to leave, because Sir Diego had recently arrived. However, Aina cannot tell that Sir Diego is actually a woman. She said it's okay because Sir Diego is a knight you can really trust. Diego said that he could not carry out the Imperial order carelessly. This is his direct... Aina wished her brother had told her better when he sent the official notice about the reduction in the excise. Nadine didn't understand why she was asking this, but he answered that somewhere in the middle of last month. And I didn't understand why she suddenly asked about it. Aina said that it seems that there is a place where they demand the same excise tax as before and pocket the difference. Nadine said that no matter how much you check, something like this still happens. The brother told Sir Diego that he too should go to the room and rest, and he thinks that Diego was very tired while he and Aina were wandering around the city. Aina was very angry because she was actually checking. Nadine was surprised by the number of her sister's purchases. The girl said that she thought that because of someone she could not buy everything she wanted. Due to the lack of friends, she has nothing to do. Therefore, buying some minor things on such rare trips to the city is the only thing she can pamper herself with. Nadine said that it turns out that Sir Diego stopped her, which is why she made so few purchases. It was great. Because Aina has... The lady said that she didn't know anything, and that's why the brother should go to his office. Nadine asked not... Sir Diego said that he would escort her to her room, but Aina said that it was not worth it, because her room... If he doesn't give her his answer before dinner, she will pretend that the conversation... Aina realized that everything was fine, because she threw her bait, so there would be no problems. and then secretly meet with Sir Diego and get an answer. Nadine informed Sir Diego that he himself would escort. Diego understood. The servant said that he would take him to a separate annex. Aina didn't know what she would do if the main character left like that. Aina couldn't believe that Diego wanted to say that she would rather not look at swords than be friends with her. Nadine decided to talk about the tax. He thinks that he will have to do the inspection himself, so he won't be in the castle all day tomorrow. He warned her just in case and just wanted her to mean it. Aina was happy because this would be the perfect time for a secret sortie. Nadine told Aina to go to bed quickly and noted that it was very cold at night, so she should not go out. But everything didn't go according to plan. But Aina decided that she would get to Sir Diego at any cost. Meanwhile, in the hotel annex of the Veram residence, Aina came there. The girl didn't understand why it was so dark there, but she was sure that there was a magic stone here somewhere that was responsible for supplying light. And then someone grabbed the lady's hand. It was Sir Diego, who asked her what she was doing here. Aina was surprised that Sir was not in his room. She didn't understand why he didn't turn on the light, because it was completely dark. Diego said that he felt uncomfortable having someone near his bedroom at night, so after dinner he sent all the servants away. Aina decided that he was afraid that someone would discover her trick with reincarnation. And by the way, she was apparently angry that Aina sneaked here secretly. Sir Diego said that he thought he had forgotten the promise he had made to her that afternoon. Diego asked if she herself said that the conversation should be kept secret from Nadine. Later, Diego planned to pay her a visit himself. Aina didn't even have anything to answer. She asked if this meant that tomorrow they would go to look at Damascus swords. Aina said that she would consider that she had received an affirmative answer, and now she would go. But Sir Diego quickly placed his hand next to Aina on the wall. He asked if this was important in the current situation. He asked if she had come to him without an accompanying servant, only to get an answer to her question. Diego keeps thinking about it from last time. He doesn't understand why Lady Veram always behaves so carelessly with men. He believed that usually a lady should come accompanied by a servant who leaves his mistress during the conversation. And I didn't understand why Sir Nadine, who cares about Aina so much, takes such bad care of this. Naivety must also have a certain limit. Or maybe Lady Veram doesn't see him as a man at all. This was very close to the correct answer. Diego said that even knowing what he could do to her, she still, without a drop of fear, alone, came to his temporary chambers. Sir noticed that it seemed to him that she completely lacked any sense of self-preservation. Diego decided that these words would be enough to make her more vigilant. As a bodyguard, Diego had absolutely no intention of intimidating her, but she might be in danger if she continued to act so carefree in front of other men. Aina asked what Sir Diego was doing. He asked again. Aina said that it was her fault that he grabbed her wrist, but it was not clear what he was going to do while holding her. Diego said he didn't mean to threaten her or anything like that. Aina grabbed Sir sharply and asked where he was going to leave her. Aina noticed that now he can understand that it is not pleasant when someone grabs his wrist at their own discretion. Diego asked the lady to let go of his hand. The lady said she knew they weren't going to lay a finger on her. Diego began to feel a strange itch in his wrist area. He said that he understood and asked to let go of his hand. The lady asked if he would use such intimidation in the future. He said he wouldn't, and he asked for forgiveness for his rudeness. Aina said that in the future she would carefully monitor how he behaved. Diego agreed with this, feeling very embarrassed. The girl did not understand why the main character was trying to intimidate her in this way, despite the fact that she was also a woman. Moments ago, she really looked very much like a man, and she was even a little scared. Aina's tongue was itching to scold her even more, but she doesn't have a single female friend, so she decided to hold back this time.